Alright guys, 3.13 Ritual League. The patch notes are out. The new Ascendancies came out yesterday, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do for Kinetic Blast Power Siphon. So first let's look at Deadeye. We already talked about the rework a little bit, but now we get to see the small nodes, and they're all really bad. Deadeye is looking worse than I thought. But the key takeaway is that focal point is really good, because you can take Assassin's Mark and you can just mark a boss, and it's a bossing league for the most part. So you can just mark a boss with Assassin's Mark and you'll get a ton of extra crit and multi. And this seems pretty decent. Also, the less damage taken. If you kill one boss, the mark will stay on the corpse of the boss. Unless we shatter it, I'm not sure how that's going to interact, but if you stand basically on things that you've marked and killed, you will have 25% less damage taken. Which kind of makes up for losing evasion on gathering wins, but not really. It's just kind of a niche thing. In the patch notes, they released the info on Farshot. It seems to be 70 units, which is basically 3/4 of your screen, is when you're going to get the most damage effectiveness. And since barrages have no spread, our single target power siphon should be pretty decent if we're standing 3/4 of a screen away, because there's no chance that we miss. I assume this reduces the spread by 100% if it says no spread. So we should be able to snipe things with barrages. The reason we took point blank before is because we had to stand literally point blank to do damage because our barrage was so entropic. But yeah, this is actually a good notable, and we don't even have to take point blank anymore. So this seems pretty decent. But we lost projectile speed, so we get some of it back in the small nodes, leading to endless munitions. So the path looks to be, for your normal lab, you're going to take Gathering Winds, and then you're going to take Farshot, endless munitions, and then when you get Uber Lab, that's when you're basically going to start needing some single target damage. So you take Focal Point with Assassin's Mark linked to whatever, honestly, and then you just apply this to boss. Seems pretty decent. To get frenzy charges, we're going to do Blood Rage as usual. To get power charges, we're going to use the Elder Power node on the tree, or Power Siphon also gives us power charges if we hit unique enemies. So we have power and frenzy charges. We're missing crit, a lot of it actually. That's the main reason Deadeye kind of sucks now. However, if we look at Ascendant, the Deadeye path gives you Tailwind now. So, and it gives you the additional proj, and you get a pseudo far shot without the drawback of the close range con thing. And we still get the mark effect. So we have all the things we want from Deadeye, and we spend 3 points for it. And then we can spend 2 more to start from the Ranger tree. And then we can also take Assassin, which makes us reflect immune, so we can do any map except temp chance, and then we can get power charges on crit strike instead of on kill, and we also get elusive. So we can basically have Tailwind, additional proj, far shot, increase effective marks, flat crit, power charge, elusive, and no reflect if we go Ascendant. This is probably what I'm gonna play. I know I only play Deadeye, but this is still Deadeye in like essence, right? In fact, we could do the math. So they nerfed Tailwind across the board down to 8%. So if I open up a Julia repo real quick, it's essentially what it was before was, if we look over here, it's 10%, and then every skill you use goes up by 10% up to 100%. So if we create a function f of x, which is equal to 10 plus 0.1x times 10, this was the old Tailwind basically. So x being the number of attacks. If we attack 10 times, we can get 20. If we attack 5 times, we can get a Tailwind effect of 15. However, the new Tailwind, we'll call it g of x, starts at 8, and it goes up by 15. So at the upper bound, we're still getting 20, but you see, like in the middle area, we're only getting 14. In fact, we can sort of map this as a function. So for x in 0 to 10, so using 0 skills or using 10 skills, we can go ahead and print the line. We can say, we can have X, and then we can have the old, and then we can have the new, which is g of x. So you see here, it starts off worse at just 8% tailwind effect, and this starts off better. So it's a strict nerf at the beginning, obviously. And you can see as we go up, this goes to 11, 9.2, 10.4, 11.6. Even up till 5 skills used, we're still behind a whole mark, a whole 1% mark. So it's only really at around 9 skills used that you can reasonably say we're getting the same effectiveness. And only then at 10 skills you for sure are getting the same effectiveness. So basically the question is, should we take Ascendant and just stick with the 8% flat, or take Tailwind to get all these benefits? So the question is, are we actually going to be casting 10 spells? So say we have some factor gamma, which is like the amount of time we spend attacking. So if gamma is the amount of time we spent attacking, then we can have a t of x comma gamma, which is a function where x is our attack speed. So say we attack 2.23 times a second, and we multiply this by x. So in or actually, how long does Tailwind last? So we don't even have to variable it. How long does Tailwind last? 4 seconds, right? Yes, so it says recently, which is 4 seconds. So if we just say 4 times x, so in 4 seconds, we can attack x times, with x being our attack speed. However, if we then factor in gamma, if we only spend 60% of the time attacking, then that means for the full 4 seconds, we're not actually attacking. We're only spending 60% of that time attacking. So we've defined some t of x. Now if we give it an attack speed of 2.23 and a gamma of, let's say 0.6, then we can see that we get, in fact we should floor this, because you can't have a partial stack, so we should floor the t of 2.23 comma 0.6. So then you see that we just get 5 stacks with an attack speed of 2.23, which is about average what you would have like going into maps, or even up to like tier 5 maps. So if we now kind of see what stacks we can expect, so for x in, let's start at I don't know, 10 stacks, but let's start at an effectiveness of yeah, let's say we have a gamma of 1.0, so this means we're attacking all the time, right? And then we can step backwards by 0.05 down to 0. And what we can do is basically print our gamma, which is going to be x in this case. And then we want to print how many stacks we're getting using the function t we just wrote. So we want to floor t of, let's say this is our attack speed and our gamma is x. So this is how many stacks we can expect. So if we're attacking, okay, we floored this wrong. Put a space there. Okay. So if we're attacking all the time, we can get 8 stacks. If we're attacking half the time, we can get 4 stacks. So it's a matter of analyzing your playstyle and trying to see how often you attack. I've kind of looked at my gameplay, and I'm somewhere in this area, 4 to 2. So 40% of the time I'm attacking, down to like 20% of the time attacking, because most of the time you're spent running and casting movement ability. So I would say my average stacks is probably 3 Galeforce stacks. So it doesn't really make sense for me to take Deadeye for this, let's go to the Deadeye part. It doesn't really make sense to take Deadeye for this kind of Galeforce thing if you're only going to be using 3 or 4 stacks. So I think I'm going to play Ascendant and take just the base Tailwind, get the extra proj, get the far shot, and then take Assassin for easy crit, easy power charge, and no reflect. But what's also good to look at here is Raider. I just said I might be playing Ascendant, but I also might coin flip it and play Raider, because in 2 points, you get permanent onslaught with 50% increased effect, plus the 15 effect leading up to it, plus evasion rating. And then the Avatar of the Chase gives you 100% increase onslaught effect. This is additive, but it's still, no, it's multiplicative, but it's still pretty good. And then you get 5% or 35% chance to dodge melee and proj attacks. This used to be 30 and now it's 35. So this is really good. So in 4 nodes, you can get 180 onslaught effect, because there's 15, 15, 50, and 100, which comes out to be about 86% attack speed, 86% movement speed in 4 nodes, which is just generally good. And then you could go with the Avatar of the Slaughter, which essentially doubles how good your frenzy charges are, but I don't think it's worth the 4 points. Instead, I would probably go with ailment immunity, and since we're an LE build, we can even apply 20% exposure. This will allow us to, instead of hex touching like conductivity, we can then hex touch projectile weakness. So then they'll have lightning exposure and projectile weakness, which will be a lot of damage. And then things have less accuracy while we have phasing, which is permanently. So permanent phasing, permanent onslaught, permanent ailment immunity. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I might play Raider actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play Raider. I think Deadeye is dead. It's just not good anymore. Yeah, it's just not good. These small nodes aren't good enough. There's no crit on this entire tree. Gathering Winds used to be good. Now it's just kind of meh. It doesn't scale too well. If this was like 25% increase effect, so then in 4 stacks you could reasonably get 20% Tailwind, I think it would be decent, but action speed isn't too great, or it's not better than 86% movement speed. So I think for Trade League, Raider's gonna be way better. Ailment immunity is so strong. This basically means you can take a Vinctar, and you don't even need a freeze flask. So you can take like a Stibnite with whatever. You can take an not an onslaught flask, a Dying Sun, a life flask, a Vinctar, a Stibnite, and maybe even a quartz flask, and you'll just be like invincible. Like, I don't see, this is just too good. This used to be 15%, now it's 20, right? Yeah, it's just so, yeah, instead of on kill, it's just permanent. So during bosses we have onslaught. It's just so good. We lost some attack speed, but I'm nearly certain that these small nodes have attack speed. No, they don't. Okay, it's whatever. We get 86% from the onslaught. Let me just double check that it's 86%, because it's 180 on top of, you see in the bottom text, it just gives 20% attack and cast speed. So 1.8 times 20, is this how you do it? Is this the math? No, it should be 20 plus, we'll just do each step, 15 times 20 plus 15 times 20 plus 0.5 times 20 plus 1 times 20. So you see we get 56, which is pretty good. Yeah, this is pretty hard to pass up. I had a Google Docs. Let me look at it real quick, because I did the math earlier. Let me see if, or I did the math for most of the Ascendancies. I was even looking at Berserker. Berserker got a slight buff with Rage. Yeah, 56, I was saying 86, but I meant 56% attack speed, 56% movement speed. It's 86 if you take the, where did my tab go? It's 86 if you take this node and you have 8 frenzy charges. That gives you 32, or about 30 movement speed. Yeah, but I don't think we're taking Avatar of the Slaughter. It's just, this node's really bad. +1, you're spending 2 Ascendancy points for +1 frenzy charges. I don't think this is good. But you do get frenzy on hitting rare uniques, which means you can sustain frenzy charges in a boss fight. But with all the frenzy charge duration that we're getting from the tree, I think killing 1 ad will keep our frenzies up for like 14 seconds. So I don't know. And we can always take frenzy the attack and just cast it every so often. So spending 4 points just to kind of get these benefits, maybe not worth it. Late game it might be worth it if you can get like 10 frenzy charges with like gloves and boots that have +1 frenzy or something like that. But if you just have 8 or 7, I think ailment immunity is too strong to pass up. Also, this is really good early game because you're not going to die to random stuff. All you need is a bleed flask and you're immune to everything. So, yeah, I'll be playing Raider. I'm going to level as probably Rain of Arrows or something. Yeah, I might release a guide on how to level. I'm not very good at it myself. It takes me like 6 hours to get to Axe with all passive points and all Ascendancy, but yeah. Cool, thanks for watching.